Welcome everyone to another edition of Unleash Your Creativity, a blending of the artist's way by Julie Cameron and nonviolent communication by Marshall Rosenberg. So we are still in week 9, recovering a sense of compassion. And today, David is going to lead us in our discussion.
So I'm going to lead by putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Why is compassion important?
Oh boy. Well, I think it's important because it keeps us soft and open so we can expand and resilient. You know, have you noticed like babies, like the way their skin is, it's like so spongy and soft and gooey, you know, and elastic. And they're so open, you know, they're so curious and playful, and they're so present, even when they're unhappy. It's just right there, you know. You never have to doubt what a baby is feeling.
Okay. And so you say compassion is like that, or enables us to be like that?
I think compassion enables us to be like that, to be young and new and fresh and childlike and like a baby. It keeps us soft and open and elastic and resilient and present, like a child, like a baby. I think that's what compassion is. And you know, there's a wisdom aspect to it that comes with time, because you see, like, you have perspective. So they're both part of it. You know, I don't want to imply that the only infants can experience compassion. Obviously, we can experience compassion as adults. But it's the fact that we don't get jaded, you know. It takes, because as we get older, sometimes we get hurt, we get angry, we become judgmental. And that's different than having a sense of your values, you know. In NVC, we talk about the difference between a value judgment, which says, I value certain things, like I value honesty, I value integrity. And so if I see something that's not meeting my needs for honesty and integrity, then I'm judging that as it's not in alignment with my value. That's different than a moral judgment, which says that person is bad and wrong.
And so when is the time that you've experienced something where the honesty and integrity need wasn't met?
Well, I've been doing some videos, political psychic tarot astrology videos, because that uses a skill of mine besides doing the NVC and creativity and the writing. I, for many years, have had, well, when I was 16, I had spontaneous psychic abilities arise. Over time, they diminished because I could not function at that level of psychic clairvoyance. But I still have a strong intuition, and I trained in being able to do tarot astrology readings. And so I've been doing these videos on political tarot astrology. And part of the reason why I wanted to do them, besides just using my skills and it's a creative expression, I wanted to say something about something that is an expression that meets my needs for honesty and integrity and accountability. And it was a unique way of looking at people in leadership positions, people in government, people in the White House, people in this administration. Not just like on the surface what they're doing, because I think the news does a fine job with that, but it was interesting for me to look at what's happening on the soul level and to talk about how you can see that in a person's chart if you do a reading. You could see what's happening on the soul level. And that for me was a way of looking at whether or not my needs for honesty and integrity were being met through the words and actions of our leaders.
All right. Well, what I wanted to demonstrate, I want something very specific and tangible that has affected your personal life. That's for what I want to explore. That's kind of too vague.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's something very specific and directly connected to your experience.
Like a person that?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
A situation you were in.
Yeah.
Involving another person.
Okay. So I would say it reminds me of a relationship that I was in where from my perspective, there was a serious lack of honesty and integrity, and so that relationship wasn't meeting my need for honesty and integrity. What I discovered was that actually I wasn't meeting my need for honesty and integrity because I was allowing myself to only hear and see the things that I wanted to hear and see. So even I was being dishonest with myself and deluding myself. So it was like a mirror. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that specific enough? Or do you need me to be even more specific? Because I can be more specific if you want me to, without naming names.
Okay, we'll do a two-parter. Be more specific, because that's still a situation. That's not a specific, tangible incident.
Okay. So
it's like requests in NVC. They need to be time-bound and very specific, because we're talking about the world of manifestation, where things are very specific. They're there.
Yeah. So the specific situation that was really that ended the relationship. Because it was like the straw that breaks the camel's back, was that we were living together and this person was in a sexual relationship with another woman and so we were living together and sleeping together, but did not tell me about this other relationship and did not tell that woman about the other relationship. And from my perspective, the reason for that was because the not being honest about it, not telling the truth about it, allowed that person to manipulate both of us. And if he had told us both the truth, then it would have been harder to manipulate our behavior, to control our behavior. So the lack of honesty and integrity was the purpose of it was, one, to protect him because he was afraid of the repercussions if he told the truth, and two, was to be able to manipulate and control both of our behavior because we might not do what he wanted if he told us the truth. All
right, so we're going to do a two-parter.
Okay.
So when you talked about not seeing stuff and being willfully blind, that's what I heard. Is that an accurate characterization?
Yes.
Check in with yourself right now and ask yourself, why did I behave that way? Why was I willfully blind?
The reason, and I kind of have to give a little bit of string. It's not just like one thing. I would say, first of all, because I was in love with this person. So seeing the truth would have been painful.
Right.
And another reason is because I had fear. If I acknowledged the truth of what was happening in the relationship, then I would have to, it would bring me to the conclusion that the relationship wasn't meeting my needs, and that I couldn't continue in the relationship because it didn't meet my needs. And so there was being in love, so I didn't want to have to face the truth, the fear of facing the truth and the consequences of that, and also scarcity, because it wasn't like I thought, well, you know, if this relationship ends, yes, that might be painful, but I'll just go out and fall in love again. I thought, no, I won't. I won't ever fall in love again. And I won't ever meet someone I'll fall in love again. So there's a scarcity element to it as well. So just not wanting to face all those things.
All right. So, first of all, I heard that, you know, being in love with this person, there was a sense of mattering, a sense of shared reality, a sense of purpose, like maybe us against the world doing our thing together. And that was a very comforting thing I'm hearing, that you really, that level of companionship and interweaving was very nurturing.
Yes.
Very important to you.
Because we had something in common
Right.
besides the relationship itself, which was wanting to be self-employed. And
All
we
right.
would work on that together.
Okay. So shared purpose, and also really being visible in someone else's life in a profound way. And they were visible in your life in a profound way. And that was really important to you. And the thought of losing that was very, almost terrifying. It was just very scary. Especially since there was this doubt, can I ever have that again? I've got to make this work. Yeah. So the part of you that was willfully blind, if you stop and think about it, if you stop and just touch in with that part of you, how it really wanted this delicious, wonderful companionship to continue. It really wanted that for you. And it didn't know another way to create it at that point. You know, it really was fixated, like it has to be this way. So if you think about that, if you just touch in with that, that's really precious. You know, that's really a part of you that's really devoted to your well-being. And even though it couldn't, you know, it bought into what I would say maybe was deception or inaccurate perceptions of what was going on, it was so devoted to you and it wanted it to be that way so badly that it really worked hard to make that the reality. You know, so just think about that for a second. And think about the amount of devotion. And, you know, and understanding why it would act that way. And let me know when that's kind of integrated. It might take a second or not.
No, that totally makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay. So from that perception of the devotion that we're talking about, when you look at this other person and their behaviors that you characterize as manipulative, deceptive, whatever, wanting to control.
Yeah.
What do you think they were trying to accomplish? What were they trying to make happen in their world?
I think in that particular situation of living together, because we both part of the living together was both of us saving resources, because we can pool our resources. And so that made life easier for both of us. And so that was part of it. And then also, you know, although he may not have felt the same way toward me, you know, like not as in love with me as I was with him, there must have been something there, you know, because you wouldn't invite a person into your home to live with you and sleep with you if you didn't feel something toward them. Like you wouldn't just take some homeless person, stranger off the street and bring them into your home. So
there was some affection there.
Yeah.
So what do you think was going on with him having two basically affairs going on at the same time and holding them separately and being in denial about them.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think, how did he live with himself? Why was, what needs was he trying to meet by doing that?
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe since sometimes when you look at someone, you see a mirror. Like I saw the deception.
Right.
I was deceiving myself.
Right.
So that was a mirror.
Right.
And then the other was fear.
Right.
And the third one was scarcity.
Right.
So maybe he had fear around scarcity.
Okay.
And to have two women who were attracted to him and giving him affection. And also, like I said, there was resources involved.
Right, money.
Yeah. That there was a sense of safety. Like, I'm safe because I have these two people who care about me and who are willing to give to me.
Okay. So does that resonate with you?
Yeah,
does that feel?
I think
so. Take a moment, okay, and just think about that. So here's a person who, and we're guessing, we don't know for sure, but it could very well be, that really has this strong urge for safety. And also for the resources, for financial support.
And the love and affection.
And wanting love and affection. And the only way, I'm hearing a fundamental lack of trust. Like, I won't have that unless I make it happen. And I might not get enough here, so I better have something going here. And so I'm really getting an image of someone who has a lot of fear in their heart and is really desperate to, and maybe a strong craving for attention, for affection, is really desperate to fulfill that, but also really insecure about how going about doing it. And so its way of taking care of him was,
and me.
And you, and I'm guessing also not wanting to disappoint, in a way, not wanting to hurt you or the other person.
Yes.
Those could be some of the
things.
things.
And not wanting himself to be hurt.
And not wanting himself to be hurt. So when you think about that, wanting to avoid pain and to make everybody happy, including himself, when you think of it through those eyes, what goes on in your body? How does that perception land with you?
Well, I can see how you're bringing me to an experience of compassion. Yes, because he's no longer different from me.
Right.
In that sense, he's no longer separate from me. We're, in that sense, the same, We may have expressed those needs, trying to meet those needs in different ways, but they were identical needs.
Right.
That we both longed to feel safe. We both longed to have the support and the resources that we needed. We both longed for companionship.
Right.
We both longed for affection.
Right.
And to feel safe. I think that really just keeps coming back to that.
To feel safe,
Yeah, to feel safe and to feel loved.
Right.
And to avoid pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're right, this is what compassion is about. It does not excuse his behavior. You're no longer in the relationship because there was an integrity piece of you that, in my opinion, could not be squelched. And so long term, it was not viable. That probably contributed to a sense of panic and wanting to look away even more. That sense of this can't go on might have even, but that's a side point now that I'm going down that path. It doesn't resonate as much. So what this does, and you can put this in your own words, is it relieves us of a burden. It relieves me of saying, I'm such a loser. How could I possibly have fallen for this stuff? Or he is such a monster. He's going out and taking advantage of people, which is a fear-based way of looking at the world.
Yeah.
And seeing hostility. And instead, with compassion, in my opinion, we see the behavior more clearly. And we see it in a way where there's still a level of connection that actually gives us the integrity to enforce our boundaries, because it's more clear, it's more known.
Mm-hmm.
And this makes things more visible. You talked about presence at the beginning and how present a little baby is. Mm-hmm. When we're in that state of compassion and can see through those eyes, it is easier to be present to the situation. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to ask you, I'm guessing when you really were able to arrive at that point of presence and clearly see what was going on, the dynamic had to shift because it could not maintain itself in the face of that very direct presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how compassion is very transformative, mm-hmm. and how it brings us present.
Yeah.
And when we're present, there's a reason that Julie Cameron put compassion after strength, because we have to have a sense of inner strength and connectedness so that we can look at things that are uncomfortable and not cringe or shy away. Mm-hmm. Because when we cringe and shy away, we contribute to the discomfort, to the mm-hmm. shadow you talked about at the beginning. To be present and to understand what's going on and to see the humanity in someone else. Even while we set up a boundary and say, I can't go there, but I understand why you're this way, it's a healing force. Mm-hmm. It actually, on an energetic level, liberates them a little bit. Certainly it liberated you. Yeah. I think you're really glad to be out of that situation now. I'm guessing it took a tremendous amount of energy, and your internal dialogue was filled with speculation about what was going on.
Yeah. And I still remember how I felt. You know, I still remember what it felt like to be in love. So sometimes I still feel the love. Mm-hmm. And what I had longed for in that relationship, which was sometimes met. But there was a lack of integrity, and I don't want to like put that all on him. It was the relationship itself lacked integrity.
It lacked integrity, so it couldn't be sustained. You know, integrity is an important part of this Artist Way program. Mm. You have to have the integrity. That's what the strength is grounded in. Mm. You know, you can build a great foundation. If it's on sand, mm-hmm. it won't be stable.
Right.
But if the strength of that foundation is dependent on the integrity of the bedrock beneath it. So really, this Artist Way thing really is pretty brilliant, mm-hmm. in the way it lays stuff out.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, a great example, because in the earlier video, just to recap, we talked about compassion and stuff, and mm-hmm. how do you actually put this into your life. So what we just did was got in touch with the motivations that were driving behavior, not just the behavior itself, but to really see the underlying yearnings and loving intentions that were trying to find expression. Mm-hmm. And then it was much easier to effectively encounter and work with the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think we're good for now.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All righty. So that was a lovely walk down the path of compassion. And but just so this video doesn't get too long, we're going to go ahead and end now. So as usual, we invite all of you to subscribe to this channel, to ring the bell for notifications, to click like on this video, to share with your social media and friends and family. And if you have any comments or questions, please put them in the comment boxes below. And we'll see you tomorrow.